Hello and welcome to another edition of Lab Rats. My name is Andy Walker.
I'm Sean Carruthers.
And today on the show, we're going to show you a very cool new device that actually has all of these different functionalities all in one.
Trash compactor?
There's no trash compactor. This is a nice television. Which one's a trash compactor?
Oh, we're going to use a trash compactor to compress all these into one?
Well, we could do that. That would be a good way to do it. It's sort of how Windows would do it, or Microsoft would do it.
Yeah.
But no, today we're going to take all these devices, put them into one device, because essentially that's what Apple did recently with what?
The Mac, the iPad.
The iPad.
I know where you were going with this.
You're so clever. Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, Apple announced this fantastic new tablet computer called the iPad recently, and all of these various functionalities are built into this one device. So we thought we'd take you through the kinds of things that it does, and then let you know whether we think we're going to buy it ourselves, help you make that choice when it comes out in the spring of 2010, and those kinds of things.
Good.
So first, always on to business. We need to hear a message from our sponsors, but when we come back, iPad, what's inside it, and should you buy it? Today on
Lab Rats.
Now, do not be mistaken. We are not Apple fanboys. At least I'm not. So this is not going to be all about why the iPad's fabulous. It's actually going to be also why the iPad is not fabulous, what it's missing. We're kind of going to be straightforward, critical about it. At least I am, and unlike Ding Dong over here. What are you doing?
Did we start?
Pay attention. Pay attention. Okay, so we must remind you, though, however, nobody in the world, other than Steve Jobs and a few Apple people, have one of these devices.
That's
so
not
we're
true.
kind of
That's not true.
What it is, we're working off the specs. We read the website like these guys.
No, I ordered one. I got it. I ordered it through
What, were you
eBay.
down at the event?
Yeah, no, I got it through eBay. I just ordered it. It just arrived.
Awesome. Let me see. Let's see.
It's in here somewhere. You got to pad this thing, right?
It's very sensitive, right?
There we go. There is our iPad.
That's not an iPad.
It is. Look, it's totally the iPad.
You bought this off of eBay?
Yeah, it says so right on the back there. iPad. See, it's the
Oh, that's
64 gig model.
right in standard Apple font. Nice try, Captain. Where'd you get this from?
From eBay.
From
I'm going to
eBay.
be filing a complaint, I think.
And nobody has them yet, including him. But they will be available in the spring 2010. So towards the end of March, and then I guess there's a new version with more telecommunication stuff in it available 30 days later. But let's get through what's in this device. But first we have to clear off the space.
Right. Okay.
Let's get stuff out of the way. But let's start talking about, you have an iPod Touch somewhere, do you?
An iPod Touch? No, I got an iPhone.
Okay, well, let's bring out the iPhone.
Right.
So essentially, what this device is a glorified iPod Touch. So all the apps that run on the iPhone or the iPod Touch will also run on the iPad.
Yeah. So you click on one of these things, it'll load up your stuff, and essentially, yeah, it works the same way. Obviously, the screen on this thing is much bigger.
It's 9.7 inches diagonally, right? So obviously a much larger version of the iPod Touch or the iPhone. Right. We should also mention too, from a memory perspective, is coming in 3 different flavors, right? It's like 16, 32, 64?
Yeah, this one's a 64.
That one's a 64. 64 gigabytes of hard drive space on this, right? Or I should say memory on the space, right? What else? So how thick is it? So half an inch thick? Something like that?
It's about half an inch thick.
Right.
That is actually pretty accurate.
It's pretty good, huh?
Yeah, so it's pretty close to the, well, mine's in a protective sleeve here, so let's take this out.
And it's also 1.5 pounds,
1.5
right?
pounds.
Which
That one's not 100.
That's
a little bit lighter than that.
Right.
So we're looking at roughly the same sort of weight there.
So as you can see, it's kind of an op-sized iPhone, an op-sized iPod Touch. Now, the apps work. They're also going to be developing a brand new set of iPad and enhanced apps, right?
Right.
To take advantage of the better resolution?
The better resolution, yeah. So for the time being, what we've got is a larger screen, and your old apps will run, as you mentioned, but it'll be doing it in something called pixel doubled mode. So it essentially takes every pixel on here and widens it up. So that's not going to look so good for anything that's really text heavy.
Right.
It'll look much better for things with graphics. So if you're playing one of the games that you have on here, it should look okay in pixel doubled mode.
So it's screen stretchy technology.
It's screen stretchy, so every pixel goes 2.
But there will be companies that will actually develop these iPad-specific things.
Right.
And I guess do 2 versions, one for the iPhone and one for the iPad, correct?
Right, or they'll develop one that will scale either way depending on which device you have.
Right. Okay, got it. All right. So let's move on. There's a lot of talk, I think, about whether this is going to be a Kindle killer. Now, the Kindle, of course, is the new ebook reader from Amazon. It's been a blockbuster success. And the cool thing about this device, of course, is it uses electronic ink screens. So the screen is like paper, so it's not lit.
Nope.
And if we change it there, it just makes it really, really easy to read.
As you can tell, this one is backlit, so it's very bright,
Yes,
and it's in full color.
Yes, yes, yeah, that's right. Of course, and now, but there's been an argument about that. Some people are saying, oh, this new thing called iBooks, which is going to be available on the iPad, it's going to kill the Kindle. And I don't think it is.
And I don't think so either.
You don't know why?
A couple of reasons for it, and the main one is the backlighting, as I mentioned. When you're reading any text on a computer, so just imagine sitting there reading an entire book on your notebook computer.
Right.
It would be painful to your eyes. After you're sitting there watching your notebook screen for about 2 or 3 hours, which a lot of people do, your eyes start to hurt,
right.
And especially beforehand. The new ones are a little bit better, but then it's still not as good as actually looking at a sheet of paper. Now,
right.
The Kindle has basically e-ink, which is not backlit. It looks basically like paper. So I think
awesome.
do we have some paper nearby somewhere? Yeah. So I mean, if you look at the text, I mean, it's sort of equivalent. It's very equivalent. Whereas if you look at something like this, if I may extend the gag a little bit further, it's not the same thing at all. Your eyes will start to hurt after a while.
And I think if it was going to take off, ebooks were going to take off with lit screens, they would have done it a long time ago.
They would have done it a long time ago. There have been tablet-sized devices. No one's chosen to read books on them as of yet.
Right. So our estimation, the iPad is not going to be a Kindle killer.
Yeah, and the other big reason for it is we didn't talk price on this thing yet. The Kindle right now is $259. The iPad starts at $499. So that's nearly twice the price of the Kindle.
Right.
And if you're going to do that just for reading books, well, save yourself half the price and read something on a screen that's maybe a little bit smaller in this case, but looks a lot better and works better with your eyes.
Got it. Okay, perfect. So that's the electronic book argument. Mm-hmm. Let's talk a bit about multimedia, because I think this may be a function that this device will take advantage of. Mm-hmm. Right. So full color screen.
Yes.
Plays movies that can be downloaded from the iTunes music multimedia store.
Yes.
Right. And will play in both vertical mode and horizontal mode.
Hey man, the screen didn't rotate.
I know. Hang on. No, it's not going to happen.
Prototype.
It's a prototype, exactly.
Yeah, that's exactly.
So that means, can you imagine that viewing experience, right? That viewing experience, you're like, that's going to be very comfortable. You're sitting on an airplane, watching movies. I think that's going to be a great experience.
Yeah, and then compare that to the size of this right here. So bring that back here again. Again, this is roughly to scale. So, I mean, look at your iPhone. I've watched movies on the iPhone on the plane. Mm-hmm. And it's doable, but it's not particularly good. Now, the iPad, when you have that one in your lap, you can do them in closer to HD. So it's not quite 100% 720p, but it's nearly all the way there. And it does have room for the player controls on the side. Some people have complained that this is actually a 4:3 orientation for the screen rather than a full wide screen.
Right. So you have to squish the image again, or
right. So what it's doing is it's running it in bars with bars along the top here, and then you have your player controls.
Right.
So the stuff is there. You can still watch it, and not 100% HD.
The other thing I should point out too is because the screen's bigger, we're going to get more pixels, means we're going to get an HD quality image, which we don't get on the iPhone or the iPod Touch because the screen's fewer pixels, right?
Right.
Exactly. Okay. And music player. It's a perfect music player too. It has the iTunes, so you can actually strap it on, for example.
Go jogging.
Go jogging. Maybe they'll have a head accessory with the earphones coming down like that. Mm-hmm. Something like that. So a great music player, as you can tell. You probably shove it in your pants or something too. I don't know.
Do I want to touch this again?
Okay.
Anyways, so up on the top here, there would be, if they had really done their job putting this together, there would be a headphone jack.
Right. Okay. All right. Let's move on to games, because games is a very important category for Apple. Apple, thus far, until the mobile devices came along, we're not a gaming company.
No.
Right? You wouldn't play games per se on the Mac, on the Macintosh.
You did that. Where's my? So you'd get something like this. You'd get your Sony PSP.
Right.
Or you would get your Nintendo DS, which is around here somewhere.
Right here.
There it is.
Right.
So you would get one of these devices to play your games on, and that would be your best way of gaming mobile. Then they drop this into the mix, the iPhone, And it was actually quite a competent gaming machine. It actually had more power, I think, than the PSP.
Right.
In terms of raw performance and graphics power.
I got to say, I'm a big gaming fan because of the iPhone. I play a lot more games than I ever would otherwise. Right. So I think from a gaming platform perspective, if this is going to be a gaming device, again, what a great gaming experience. You can double the screen size. The other thing is it's touch capable. Right, so you have touch controls for the different games and that sort of thing. Touch in the game to have something like a dashboard or something like that.
Yeah, not just touch capable, multi-touch capable.
Multi-touch
so
capable, yeah.
theoretically, now you have this device here that you can be with one hand moving it around while you're hammering on the fire
accelerator.
button, and you know, you can really get immersed in the game that way rather than just sort of move, point, one at a time.
Killer gaming application. Yeah, good. And also the custom iPad games for the larger screen, I would imagine, with the enhanced touch experience.
Yeah, so during the launch event, they were showing a few games like Need for Speed, whereas where you can just like tap on the rear view mirror just to get a change of a view. Very, very more natural way to game when you're starting to touch it. And this, I found some of those games like that a little bit cramped, hard to really get around. A bigger screen will certainly help.
Will help. Good. Okay, good. Let's move on to netbooks. I think that's probably the closest analogy you're ever going to get is this netbook category of computer. Tiny computers that are designed for internet experience. You've probably seen them in the store. I think some banks give them away with a new account these days. They're $300 or $400 a piece, maybe $500 on the high end. So really, this has a shot at replacing the netbook. It has an on-screen keyboard. It has an accessory keyboard, I believe, right? $39, $40, $50, $60, something like that, right? So you can actually turn it into a computing experience if you want. And also, too, the browsing experience for the internet is very, very powerful on an iPhone and an iPod Touch. So, of course, with the bigger screen, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah. So what you found with the iPod or the iPhone and the iPod Touch, as I say, the browsing looks good. It uses WebKit in there, which is standard across a few different platforms like Android and that. So it really renders it very well, but it renders it very small, which means you're doing a lot of zooming and scrolling around to get through those web pages. And yeah, definitely, this will sort of fix up that part of the equation.
Right. Now, it can't multitask, right?
It cannot multitask.
Right. So that's one downside of a Windows or a MacBook product.
Right.
You can't run multiple computers, multiple applications all at once.
Right. So there are some certain things you can multitask. You always have been able to with these things, so you can listen to music on your iPod and do some other things on here. However, if you're planning to use something like Pandora or Slacker, one of the streaming applications that is on here, you can't fire it up in the background and fire it down and then go typing in some other application to do text files.
Gaming too. Games terminate.
Games terminate whenever you move from one to the other. So there's very basic functionality in multitasking, but those are the Apple apps only.
Yeah.
And any other third-party apps, you can't run any two of them at the same time.
Got it.
Now, this is a huge limitation for some people. They are saying, there's no way, Apple, why are you doing that? Now, it has a really good processor in here. It's got something called the A4. They bought this company specifically to put high-powered processing in here. And they're saying, why would they not allow multitasking now on this? You've got a processor that's perfectly capable of it. You've got good screen real estate that you can actually have like notifications around the outside. And I think it's still part of the Apple user experience. One of the reasons that people love Apple machines when they get their hands on them is because they just work for the most part. You don't have things crashing. I mean, you do occasionally. But if you've used a Windows machine, for any length of time, you notice that there are some major, major problems, especially when you install third-party software or hardware to them. And the fact that you have things multitasking running in the background, eating up your memory, you can get a suboptimal user experience on the things that you want to do and have front of screen at any point.
Right.
So that's what I think the rationale is from Apple's perspective. For anybody that actually does want to multitask anything, this is not for you.
Got it. We talk about connectivity in a minute. Let's take a break and another message from our sponsor. When we come back, we talk about what it's not, what connectivity technologies it has on board and what it doesn't, and also pricing and availability too, and whether or not Sean and I will buy one of these guys. That's after this. So I want to talk a bit about connectivity because, of course, that's this is an internet device. It connects to the App Store, that sort of thing. So let's talk in the version that's going to come out in the next 60 days by March 2010. What connectivity is it going to have in that model?
Well, each of them is going to have Wi-Fi in it. They're going to have Bluetooth, so you can connect to external devices.
Right.
And a few of them are going to have actual 3G connectivity, so you can download your stuff wherever you are. So that'll add $130 to the price.
Okay.
to have
So when we get the 3G is I think coming out in April, right? Or April or May?
Yeah, it's coming, I think it was like 60 days and then 90 days from the time of the announcements.
Got it. And the announcement was in January, late January.
Right.
So there you go. Let's talk about what it's not. So it's not a phone, right?
Yeah, despite the fact that it has that 3G connectivity in it, it's not a phone. So if you want to make phone calls for the time being, you're still going to have to stick with your iPhone.
Right.
Now, it has, according to sources, it does have all that stuff inside, but it's not activated at this point.
Got it. Okay, good. And anything else it's not? I guess it's not a camera, right?
It's not a camera. So you see on this one, people were hoping there'd be a camera on this side and on the other side so you can take pictures with the thing or do video conferencing. No, again, you'll have to stick with your full camera or your iPhone.
Very good. Okay. Now, big question for you. You going to buy one?
You know what? I'm really waffling on this myself.
It starts at $500, $499.
It starts at $499. I think it goes to $599, $699 for the different versions, and like I said, add $130 to it. I think if I do get one, and I might get it just for having it around and doing. I won't get it for an ebook reader like a lot of people are saying, but just to see the experience and use it for Butterscotch. But if it wasn't for Butterscotch, I probably wouldn't be buying one of them right now.
Yeah, you wouldn't be for yourself. And I'm the same way. I think we'll get one for Butterscotch. We'll do an episode when we get it in, that sort of thing. So, prepare for lots of iPad content. But will I buy it for home? Unless I'm blown away by the experience, probably not.
There could be some killer stuff in Rev 2.0 of this thing.
There you go, yeah.
There's a microphone built into the thing. They got a good processor in there. I'm sensing maybe there's a possibility of voice activation on a lot of these things, like full voice recognition.
And as they spool up their chip manufacturing process, maybe we'll get voice rec on this thing. And then that would be a killer.
Yeah, and you know what the thing might be on this? It may just be an issue of we haven't actually seen, we've seen this cardboard one. But up to this point, we haven't actually gone to the store and tried one. And a lot of Apple products are like that. You don't know how good they are until you actually get one in your hands.
And then you have to buy it.
Yeah, so the iPod Touch didn't sound like a great idea until you actually went, ooh, this is nice.
Right, no, that's very true. That's very true. Okay.
We'll see.
Good. All right, well, that's in the future. But speaking of the future, Kate Abraham is a brand new host that we have. You may recognize that name from the Lab with Leo, if you ever saw that show out of Vancouver. Sean was on that show too, way back in the day. And Kate Abraham is our lovely host of a new show we've got called Sexy Tech. Now, Sexy Tech is a naughty show about love, romance, and sex on the internet. Now, the content is designed for people over the age of 14. And so on Butterscotch, when you go to look at this stuff, look at the show, you're going to be asked whether or not you're of age before you get to see that show. Because, we want to talk about some of the more naughtier side of the web, because we think that would serve general people.
When you say of age, do you mean chronologically or mentally? Because if mentally, you can't watch it.
I know, I'm going to get shut out. Okay. So let's take a look. We got a little clip here from that show. It debuts February 14th, 2010. It's Valentine's Day, for those of you that are keeping track. Let's see Kate Abraham's new Sexy Tech.
Welcome on deck. I'm Matt Harris.
Hi, I'm Jay Goldman.
Welcome to the A-List. Hi, welcome to Miss Download.
This show will bring you everything from the sphere of sex on the web. Sexy Tech will explore the interaction of online sexual behavior within our modern, tech-savvy world. There are no holds barred, no embarrassment, and certainly no taboos, which is educational and, I hope, pleasurable content.
Well, as you can see, that was PG rated, and that's for all ages, actually not even PG rated. The actual show itself will have some stuff that's going to be more mature rated and that sort of thing.
Yeah, that wasn't as naughty as you said there.
No, exactly. So, but check it out on the web if you're over the age of 14. Okay, pictures, picture time.
Yes, we have some pictures. They're not sexy pictures.
No.
They're pictures from our viewers. Well, I don't know, maybe our viewers are sexy, who knows?
Who knows?
You're all sexy to us.
That's right.
I guess.
If you watch the show.
So we have, first up, we have a photograph of Chris from Tigard, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, in Oregon. So there we go. We've got Chris, it looks like, in his room with lab rats on the computer. He's showing off his brand new notebook, which is this one right here, his Toshiba notebook with Windows 7 Home Premium.
Very nice.
There you go.
Good stuff, Chris.
Thank you so much for sending that along, Chris.
Sexy setup there on your computer.
Yeah, there we go. That's what's sexy about it. The setup is sexy.
Sexy setup. Okay. All right, well, don't forget, you can send us feedback. You can send us email. You can send us ideas from the future shows. You could send us pictures of your own iPod mock-ups by emailing us at
Who needs a TV, a game console, a Kindle, and all that other crap that you just showed off? Get the iPad instead at labrats.tv.
That's a long way, a lot to type in, so you could alternatively type in
I got ripped off at eBay at labrats.tv or feedback at labrats.tv. That's probably better.
Feedback
Feedback
the easier one.
at
Okay,
labrats.tv,
good.
yeah.
All right. Well, we'd love to hear from you. We love to see your pictures, of course. If you want to send in pictures for Picture Time. And don't forget to see our show notes at labrats.tv, which will point you over to butterscotch.com. So check that out. My name's Andy Walker. Thanks for pushing play this week.
I'm Sean Carruthers.
We'll see you next time.
Are you ready? Try this at home.
Check 1 2 1 2. Like my name is Bismarck. Blah blah blah. To help me embark.
Hey, and welcome to another edition of Lab Rats. Today on the show, iPad uncovered.
What is all of this crap for on the table? This does
Why?
not look like the iPad.
Why?
Why? Why is it here?